me turn this on to recording. Okay. So today is Wednesday, yeah? 30th of August, 2023, and it's a Wednesday afternoon. So how are you today?
I'm good.
Good?
Yeah.
Excellent or good?
Good.
All right, okay. So tell me what you've been doing since yesterday, or nothing in particular, as usual?
I'm working on my assignment.
Good. Right. You are working on your assignment for this subject or for the other subject?
For the subject.
Right. Okay. Which one is this? Is it marketing or CRM or?
CRM.
CRM. Okay. Right. And how far have you gone with this assignment? Are you okay with this?
Yeah, just the first one.
All right. Okay. So we'll finish this session, LO4, today.
Yeah.
And then you'll have an assignment.
Mr. Safak, can I get these slides?
Yes, we will put it on to the model today.
Okay.
All right.
Because it's different. It's not the same in the Moodle.
My assign. Do you have some notes on Moodle?
Yeah.
On the CRM?
No, the digital marketing.
They have some on the Moodle, have they?
Yeah.
All right. What learning outcome do they have? 1, 2, 3, or just 1 and 2?
No, everything. 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, and 3 and 4.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay. So do you want these as well?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll try and put them on.
Because these slides I can understand easily.
Okay. The other one's a bit difficult.
No, the ones already on the Moodle.
And they are difficult?
Little bit.
You don't understand them?
No, I get it, but this is easier because the arrangement is easier to understand.
Yes. All right. Oh, but that's good. If you understand, then you can relate your slides to your assignment and to your work as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we'll do today is we have the last of the LO4s today, which is LO4. We will be looking at the conducting market research in the digital marketing environment. Okay, relating to tourism. So what it is basically means you need to do some market research. Okay, you have to do some market research regarding your assignment, maybe on the tasks. Okay, so do you have access to your assignment?
Let me. I think it's already on the Moodle.
Yeah, so you look at the assignment, you read the assignment, and it wants you to conduct market research. Okay, we'll do this today. So the typical indicative content with this module, with this LO4, is we need to look at the principles of market research, okay, in tourism. We'll be looking at something called qualitative and quantitative research, primary and secondary research. What's the difference between secondary and primary, desk and field research. We'll be looking at the processes and the stages of market research. You need to cover some ethical issues, I think, but we already done ethical issues in the other session, LO3 yesterday. So you should be able to relate ethical issues with that, okay? Legal and ethical issues associated with market research. You need to look at people you are interviewing or people you are targeting in your marketing research, as far as the digital marketing concerned. And we need to present the data or present the information that you collected in a logical manner. Okay. So there are 3 learning assessment criteria for this unit. okay, for this learning outcome. Number one is you need to explain the need for market research in tourism and hospitality organizations. A second assessment criteria is to conduct market research using primary data relating to the digital environment for tourism and hospitality industry. And thirdly is you need to analyze secondary data relating to the digital industry or to the digital environment of your hospitality industry using the market research techniques. All right. So let's look at the first assessment criteria. Basically, this is theoretical, okay, whereby I need to go through the principles of market research and so on. Okay, so the first one is first research or first assessment criteria is to explain the need for market research in the tourist and hospitality industry. So why we need this basically is because business is always changing. Yeah. Okay, business is always changing and they need to know what is out there. All right. Okay, and there are many reasons why we need to conduct market research. I will come back to this YouTube video afterwards. All right. So we will discuss the importance of business conducting research in this industry. Okay, so the first reason or the main reason is that businesses have to have some customers, don't they? And they have to have loyal customers so they can conduct business or they can carry on business with the industry. So therefore, their loyalty is very important. And businesses can't expect any business without meeting their customers' needs, right? So the first thing we need to be sure that when we are conducting market research is why we are conducting. We are conducting the research because we want to make sure that there are customers, and there is demand for our products. If there is no demand for our products, then there is no point doing market research. Okay. So for example, in 1992, have you heard of the Disneyland? Okay, Disneyland in Paris, or Disneyland or Disney World, for example, in America. They opened a Disneyland Paris on the understanding that people will go to their Disneyland Paris theme park, yeah, and they'll make a good business. But they didn't succeed because they didn't do their a very good market research. All right. They thought that people are the same everywhere. All right. In Europe and in America, the people are similar or same. Therefore, if the Disneyland is successful in America, it will automatically be successful in Europe. Okay. Without realizing that people are different in different parts of the world because of the cultural differences, because of language, because of the income, because of the tastes, because of all sort of needs and requirements of the customers' tastes right. So therefore, they weren't successful. So the Disneyland wasn't successful in Paris as it was in America. The reason being is they misunderstood the cultural differences in America and Europe, and they failed to understood the targeted customers. Okay, so therefore, it's very important when you are doing a business is first and foremost, you need to study the customer, if there's a market or there isn't. And that's known as a product feasibility. So you need to do some kind of feasibility study, i.e. basic research about your customers, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Secondly is you need to understand the customer's preference. What would they want? So this research feasibility will outline what people want, what their customers expecting, what's their income, for example, what their tastes like, what do they want to eat, or what do they want to use, or where do they want to go, or which places they like to see. Some people want to go to historical places, some people want to go walking, some people want to go and eating, some people want to go sightseeing, some people want to go for zoological parks, so some people just like to go on a beach, for example, and so there are many different categories of customers. Everybody has different tastes, so you need to really look at the understanding of your customer preferences, needs, and expectations. And therefore, you need to look at the type of customers that you are targeting is, single parents, families, young people, younger people with jobs, right? Or young people like students, for example, or young people of school age, women, what type of older people, married people, retired people. So you need to understand the targets, okay? You need to look at the targets. And thirdly is you need to complete what you call the competitor analysis, i.e. you look at your other competitors and what they are offering, okay? You need to study those competitors. What are they offering? How many employers, how many people in the same market as yourself? There are a lot of hotels, but every hotel is a bit different. So everybody offering a little bit different in menu, in services, in hotel bookings, in tastes, and so on and so forth. Maybe different decor, different languages are spoken, maybe the food's different. So they have to be different. Okay, some people offering spa, some people will maybe ensuite, some people will have showers, some people will have clean, complete white beds, and maybe nice decor and so on, and nice ambience. And other people will just have a, normal. So you have to look at the competitors and what they're offering, okay? Study them and what they're offering. What's the demand? Another factor that you need to look at when you are doing your research is you need to look at the tastes, okay? i.e. What people want and what's the demand of your product. Market research help hospitality business predict demand. What is the demand pattern? Is the product that you're selling, is it going to go and increase in sales, or is it going to decline, or is it going to stay stagnant? Okay. Especially important for managing occupancy rates, pricing, staffing level. So forecasting is very important, right? Forecasting is very important to allocate resources to recruitment and selection, to make sure that you are conducting efficient operations all the time. So the demand statistical usage of your statistical usage is very important, i.e. you need to be able to extract the statistics from data and predict the future. How many people will, what's the demand, what's the customers in, what is the demand out there of people going to come to stay in hotels? Is it increasing or decreasing or staying, or why is it, and so on. So you can target accordingly, right? 6 and 7, okay, what type of if the demand is increasing or if the demand is decreasing, you offer the products and services accordingly. And this you will get it from market research. And if you don't do your market research, then you won't know where your gaps are, where your niches, where's your market, okay? And if you don't know where your market, you can't really offer anything. You can't advertise, you can't plan, you can't put resources, you can't do anything. So therefore, it's important that you do market research first and foremost, tell you, all right? then this will help you to promote and market your products efficiently, effectively, according to your advertising channels, and you create the most effective promotional strategies, making sure that you have some effective marketing campaigns to understand and to target your customers, okay. Number 8, okay, customer satisfaction. Okay, you are of course you want to know whether your customers are getting the services, and are they satisfied. They'll send you feedback, they'll send you reviews, they'll send you feedback, reviews, and so on. So you can collect the data from them and compile in and analyze the data and tell your clients, or tell your markets, or tell your competitors, or that this is the experience they have had with us, and this is what they think about us regarding services, regarding complaints, regarding their good or bad services that they received from. So we can get the data from there, and then then we can change. Okay, we can adapt to changes, we can adapt to circumstances, we can look at factors like economic factors, we can look at global factors, global events, technological advancement. We can do market research, which will help us to adapt to these changes, environment, external environment, internal environment. We can plan, we can minimize risks and maximize our opportunities, and we can adapt to resources that we need. And lastly, we can see, what are we getting in return for our investment. Okay, so the return on investment is very important in the sense that whether we are utilizing our resources efficiently, or whether we are having a good occupancy rate, whether we are generating enough business, whether we are getting a return of our investment, how, if we are getting investment back, and we can plan for future investment, and we can expand, or we can put more resources and make more efficient use of resources and generate higher revenues, and so we can compete, we can stay ahead of the game, and so there are many other reasons, right? So basically, when you are looking at why we need conduct, there are many reasons. These are some of the reasons. Okay, to look at your customers, to look at their taste, to look at the competitors, to look at occupancy rate, to get your return on investment, to planning, to forecasting, to adapting changes to circumstances, and so on. So there's no, you can't limit the reasons for once. There are many reasons, and these are some of the reasons. Okay. Now, as far as the process and stages of markets research is concerned, now there is no critical, or there's no one way of doing or carrying out research. All right, the stages will differ. The process may vary according to people who are carrying out, according to their own agenda and whatever. But the basic thing, it stays the same. Okay, i.e., there is some kind of a broad pattern. Yeah. For example, the process will start, for example, with your objectives, or you defining the problems. There are, so the first stage is you define the issue. What is the problem? What are you trying to find out? What are the objectives? Is it one objective, or two objectives, or three objectives? Maybe your research may have one objective is too small, and 4 objectives is too big. But 2 and 3 objectives is just about the right. Okay, so when you're doing market research, or when you're doing research, there are should be at least 3 subjects or 3 objectives. Okay, at least. Too far, 4 is too much, and 1 is too little. Okay, 3 is middle. If you get 5, they're too much, and you can't carry. There are too many. All right. So think about the problem and think about the objectives, and you look at the specific information that you need, or what are your goals, why you're conducting, how you're going to conduct it, what's information is available, what do you want to do with your research, right? So what are the objectives, in other words? And this sets the scene, this sets the tone for your research, this sets the direction, okay? Because if you don't know what you're researching, then of course you can't conduct research. All right, so that's the first thing. Secondly is you need to collect preliminary research, i.e. preliminary research means some kind of a background reading, maybe to gather the information or to gather the context. In what context are you going to research before you even collect your data? Okay, what's the scene outside? All right, what information exists? Why are you doing it? And is it going to be a good research, or is it not going to be good research? Is it going to fill the gap in knowledge, or is it not going to do anything? Okay, and if it's going to fill some gaps, then you need to maybe when you're reading, maybe you'll find something a little bit different to your original thoughts. So therefore you change a little bit of that research. Okay, so that's why you do the conducting the preliminary research before you collect the data. All right, so you do some background reading. Thirdly, once you've done this, once you know what the problem is, once you've done some reading and you've mended it according to what's out there, what do you really need to research, then you design a research plan. Okay, this will involve you what type of research method you're going to use. Is it qualitative or quantitative? Are you going to use surveys, or are you going to use interviews, or focus group, or combination of any of these methods? So you develop a research plan. Okay, you design a research plan. Then you start collecting the data, which is the fourth stage. Okay, which okay, you collect this data. You begin to collect the data according to your research plan, and according to your research area. Okay, it might be, you might be collecting data through interviews again, or in surveys or observations, or different types of interviews. Have formal interviews or informal interviews, or online interviews, or personal interviews. Yeah, and you have kind of interviews or are you going to use are you going to collect the data from external sources? If the already data is there, you might not need to do a survey, you might not need to do an interview, you might not even need to collect observation or study focus group or something like this. Yeah, it depends on what research is there and what type of research is it, and the data that you need. Okay, but the thing is, you need to collect the correct data, and so make sure it's reliable and relevant and current data. In other words, it's up to date, not 50 years old data. You won't do. Okay, so it's got to be reliable, relevant, current, or pretty accurate data. Okay. Data analysis. Once you collected all this data, then you analyze, you read the data, you analyze the data. What have you collected? How many people you have surveyed, for example, how many questions you have collected, what did they say, what did you find out? Okay, so you need to study that data, and you need to analyze it. You need to analyze it by statistical tools. You need to use the statistical tools like tables or pie charts, or percentages, or numbers, or put them into a particular tables or graphs. Or do you understand?
Yeah.
percentages, put them in pictogram, pictures. In other words, you tell us what you collected, and is it quantitative data or qualitative data? Now, quantitative data means numbers, right? And qualitative data means statements. So statements, like interviews, you can't put them into numbers. You have to write them in statements, and then what did they say? They communicated something about a particular demand for a product and so on. So you quote that interview, and how many people have said this. But then when you are analyzing quantitative data, then you can put them into percentages. 55% said they like the service and they don't like the service, and so on. Okay, so the quantitative data is using statistics, percentages, pie charts, standard deviation and other methods. Well, the qualitative uses the statements and communication and the methods. And then you tell us what did you, once you analyze the data, how do you see that data? How are you going to interpret, i.e., what do they mean to you? What do they mean? Do they relate to your objectives, or they don't relate to the objectives? Okay, do they address the problem that you initiated to research, or the problem is something else? Okay, is it turned out to be something different? Okay, so interpretation, what did you find from the data analysis that you collected? The data, what did you find out, and how do you see that data being in relation to your objectives, right? And what do you think they mean? What conclusions do you draw from this data? Okay, what trends and what insights, what patterns do they tell you? Do they tell you positives, negatives, or indifferent, or do they set out in line with your hypothesis? For example, you initially set out to do something. Do they fall according to your expectations, or they're different completely? Okay, and what do you recommend to do now if you found the interpretation? What do you want to do? Yeah, how do you see your products developed? What do you intend? What do you recommend people to do? How could they improve things, right? What strategies they could adopt to improve your operations? Okay, how can they become better? Yeah, so you write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 recommendations, and then qualify that recommendation by data that you have collected, because you can put the graphs, the percentages, or pie charts or whatever to back up your data. Okay, you should do that in report. Okay, once you collected this, you can write it in a report format, or you can do it in a presentation. Where are people, you can present them in front of them, and you tell them what you found out, what the process was, what do you recommend, and this report should be put in particular stages so that people can read it easily, people can take it away and make a head or tail out of it. Use visual aids like graphs and charts and percentages and tables and other things that will enhance the beauty or enhance the presentation. Okay, there are many stakeholders, company directors, your managers, your employees, people around the community. Yeah, okay, maybe your company, government departments. Okay, so there are a lot of stakeholders. In other words, stakeholders are people who have an interest in your business, okay? And not only the customers have interest in your business, but your competitors also might be looking at your competitive strategies. So they have to take initiatives as well from their viewpoint. Okay, the government wants to know what are you doing, how are you going to, for example, improve the business, because they are wanting to collect revenues, taxes, they provide jobs, people need jobs, and people, the area, of course, needs revamping and planning and so on. So there are a lot of competitors, a lot of stakeholders. You need to be able to present according to who they are. All right. Then you implement and monitor and check and evaluate and feedback and so on. So all this data will be monitored continuously, making sure that you make changes according to the circumstances, according to your decisions, according to your needs and requirements, and improve. Okay, so continuously feedback is important. So all this is why we need all this information. All right, this is why you need to collect. Now, coming on to the different types of research, there is qualitative research and there's a quantitative research. Now, the difference between both of them is different. Now, qualitative research involves non-numerical data, right? As we said earlier on, like interviews, like observations, like word of mouth, right? Like looking at people, observations, right? Interviews. So these are nature of data, all right? Experiences, so this is the qualitative research, right? Collecting non-numerical data in, methods. Okay, we can collect these methods by interviews. We can look at the case studies. We can look at focus groups. We can look at observation. Okay, and the idea is to get an insight into the experiences of your participants, of your clients, of your customers. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Sample size is very important. How much data you need depends on how much you can afford. Primary research is very expensive compared to secondary research. Okay, primary research is where you collect the data by yourself or somebody who hasn't collected it before. So you collect it, but depends how much money you have or how much time you have or what you're going to research about, how many people you're going to interview and how many people you're not going to see. Sample size, in other words, sampling is very important. Now, sample means out of a lot of people, what percentage of people you're going to choose, all right? Sample. So if it's a smaller study, you take a smaller sample. If it's a bigger study, you take a bigger sample, depending on the nature of the study. So sampling in here, qualitative research is usually smaller because it involves a lot of data. Okay, in here, qualitative, because it's difficult to collect information, difficult to interpret, difficult to analyze. So you collect smaller size of data, right? And right. And once you collected a small sample of data, you need to analyze, you need to interpret, you need to use different methods to interpret this data. You can use techniques like content analysis or thematic analysis or narrative analysis to find out what you found out about the data. Now content analysis or thematic is just you interpret this data according to your own knowledge and according to the principles of this research. Okay, why did you collect it, and what hypothesis do you generate, and so on. Okay, So sampling, data analysis, the purpose is very important in qualitative research. What is the advantage of collecting data through collective data through qualitative research? Is number one, it gives you a detailed analysis. People will tell you experiences, their own feelings, their own experiences, their own stories, their own feelings, which you can't get through other methods. For example, a questionnaire, you fill it yes or no, and you know, that's it. Whereas here, you record their feelings in a tape recorder, and you go to the depth of the problem. Okay, so this is the advantage for qualitative research, is you get a deep understanding of the topic. You get a deep understanding of new area, in other words, of knowledge that you didn't have before. Okay, and it gives you experience, perception, knowledge of the situation that you didn't have before. All right, through talking, through interviews, through finding out, you know, from people's stories and so on. Disadvantages, it's going to be, of course, you know, bias, for example. Bias means you might be feeling sympathetic to somebody's stories, and then, you know, you put your own thoughts in it. All right, but it might it might lack generalizability because it's a smaller sample, and it might be difficult to conclude. Okay, it might be, you know, the sample size is very small, so therefore it might not give you a good, reliable data because of the sample size. Why this sample size might be costly, because it's time consuming. Interviewing, it takes time, it takes a lot of money, it takes a lot of effort, and people not very willing to be interviewed or be observed or be watched, or you know, because people are working or whatever. So it's costly, right? So therefore you need to be aware of time consuming, a resource intensive. You need a lot of people to do some research like this. Quantitative research, on the other hand, is involve collecting numerical data, okay, using statistical methods like you know, survey, for example, experiments, yeah, observation. You sit down and you go outside and you what you call observe motorcycles, how many motorcycles pass, how many cars of particular color pass, red, black, and you just write the numbers, you know, 1, 2, 3, 50, you 50 black and 50 red and 60 whites and 35 blue and silver and so on. So that is what you call the quantitative data, all right? And it's quantitative data is collected through different methods, as we said earlier: surveys, experiments, observations, structured questionnaires, and so on. All right, and this is usually bigger sample. Getting bigger sample gives you a much better picture, much better view, much better experience, much better results than a qualitative data, because that's small. This, you can have a bigger sample, okay, because you can. Why we have a bigger sample is because it's easier to tabulate, it's easier to analyze, it's easier to calculate, it's easier to observe. You know, it's easy because it's numbers, right, rather than writing a lot of things. All right, and it's easier to analyze as well, okay, because it will give you some kind of results. Yeah, so you tend to find out very quickly when you analyze the data that this is the data that resulted in this particular result. Okay, and it fits in for your objectives very quickly. It tells you. Okay, advantages. It's it's easier to make prediction. It allows the generalizability because the population and the sample is larger. It provides you a good results. It's replicable, i.e., it can be repeated. You know, people can use it again, a little bit, again and again, see what the study resulted in. But the disadvantages with this type of data collection method is it might not cover all the relevant aspects of the things that you are researching. Okay, so there's still limitations. It might overlook nuisance and in the context of numerical data, right? So you might leave something out due to your own lack of ability in statistics, or maybe you know, collecting information regarding experiences and so on. All right, so there are advantages for this and there are disadvantages for this method. Qualitative and quantitative both have advantages and disadvantages. Which is better? It depends on your study, what you are trying to find out. Okay, some people like in social sciences, like when they have you know, studying for example history, or when they're studying psychology, they prefer to have statements. They have to you know, they prefer to have interviews or observations, a lot of statements and experiences and feelings. Whereas in science or other science like statistics or maths or, you know, medical, where you want to give concrete results, they have a different, you know, quantitative research. Okay, so it depends on this, what you want to find out. And all right, now there are two different types of research. Now one's the primary research. Okay, all right, one's the primary research. So this is the qualitative research or quantitative data, qualitative research. Okay, and primary research is a term used when you want to find out by yourself. Okay, when you want to find out something new, something original, something first-hand. Okay, so primary research is when somebody has not conducted it before. All right, so the data you collect is yours. You do it and you keep it. All right, you find out about your customers, you conduct research, you collect data, you keep it, you interpret it, you do whatever you want to do it, and nobody else has this. Okay, so this is your original data, but it's time consuming, it's very costly, it takes a long time to interpret. There may not be people, there may not be data available, there may be problems because a person who can't do it because they have no control over it, maybe they're not ready for it. Okay, or there are no people available, or there's no information available. Okay, so it can be very costly, it can be frustrating, it can be time consuming, and there are people out there who don't want to carry research. It's very long time consuming. For example, you know, medical research takes a long time to carry. It's very costly, it's very time consuming, and you know, it takes lot of money and rigor and data collection and testing and launching and relaunching and so on, and marketing afterwards. So it takes a long time. So but if they're successful, okay, then they can own that research. They can ask how money by, you know, themselves, and they can sell it if they want to, and ask the money that they have, you know, they can ask for. Okay, so it's there. So this is primary research. You do it by yourself, and you do it. Advantages is it's yours, it's original, nobody's done it before. You control everything, you control the question, you control the data, you and do your research and keep it to yourself if you want to, you know. But it's costly, time consuming, it takes a long time. It's so you need to weigh out whether you want to do it or whether you want to leave it. Okay, as opposed to secondary research or secondary data or secondary research. Now, this is the research that has, some people have already done it. Okay, the data available, it's very cheap. It's very less time consuming because the data is already there on your topic, and you change according to your need maybe. Okay, it may suit you, it may not suit you. Okay, but the data is out there. You need to do a lot of research. Okay, you need to do a lot of reading, you need to do a lot of literature review, you need to look at the historical record, you need to look at the qualitative analysis. Okay, you need to know where your data is, you need to know what the topic is, and it may be there, it may not be there. All right, so it depends. Are you following me? Yeah. So this is secondary data, is already data is there. It's called secondary research, secondary data, primary data or primary research, qualitative research or quantitative research, right? So all these terms you need to be able to understand and differentiate them between them. Okay, so secondary research or secondary data is data already available in books and journals and articles and reports, websites, data, but you need to search for it. Okay, whereas the primary research, nothing there. You need to do it. You need to do according to your own need. All right. The quality in this secondary data may not be the one that you want. Okay, it may not be reliable, it may be reliable, it may not be reliable, it may suit your purpose, it may not be suitable for your purpose. It depends on what you are looking, what's your objectives. Okay, but it's cheaper, but it's efficient, but it's less costly, less time consuming, and you know, you can update it or change a little bit, change it and mold it and modify it. Okay, so it depends on what you are looking for. Okay, so you can look at the advantages and disadvantages on this. All right, there are limitations on the secondary, and always there are limitations on the primary and everywhere else. Okay, then there is a field research and desk research. Now, field research, when we are conducting primary research, usually it's a field research. Okay, and usually it's qualitative or quantitative, it can be both. Okay, so desk research and field research are these two terms that refer to when we are doing research for the first time. It's known as the field research, and that's known as the primary research. You go out in the field, you do yourself primary research. Okay, and the all right, so this is where is it gone? Field research. Where is it gone? Sorry, yes, field research, you do it outside. Okay, and it's usually primary research. Okay, whereas a desk research is you do it by sitting on the desk. For example, this is where it got the name from, desk. You do it according to the research by sitting down on a desk, or by sitting home, or researching you know, on internet or through the books. But this is where it's got the desk research usually tells you it's a secondary research. All right, you get the information by reading, by literature review, by collecting it from published sources, which is known as the secondary sources. Okay, so you explore different, you explore different avenues of getting your data. Okay, articles, reports, data bases. This is secondary research, but it's known as the desk research. So differentiating terms. So all this, when you hear this desk research, is usually secondary research, and when you are field research, usually it's primary research. Okay, and primary research is conducted by first hand. Secondary research is already done. Okay, i.e. desk research has already been done. Methods of this desk research, as we said earlier on, is you look at the already published data, and you look at the research, and you examine this through literature and historical records and market reports and databases and so on. All right. Advantages, again, like before, it's very like a secondary. It's usually like a secondary, very time efficient, very cost effective, very easily available, or according to the data that you might want access to a wide range of collection methods or data sources, and it's suitable for some preliminary research, background information, and limitations on, again, it might not suit your purpose, it might not be right quality, it might be not provide the thing that you need. Okay, so this is basically what we've done is looked at the different terms, the secondary research, so secondary research, primary research, secondary data, primary research, field research. All these terms relate to your content and the reasons for conducting market research. Okay, now 4.2, 4.2. Now this involves conducting market research. Now it means you have to do some kind of research by yourself. Okay, maybe when you want to find out about a product, okay, or occupancy rate, or maybe when you want to find out the customer's preferences, or customers' demand, what product they would like, in what type of media they would like to be advertised in, or hotel or resort they want to visit. You need to do a survey, don't you? You need to do some kind of research and market research using primary data. Now your task might be on the assignment. It might be there, show how you will conduct. So you will have to carry out this kind of research using a process of carrying out that research, which we've gone through. Stages of market research, introduction, research question, literature review, data collection, analysis, conclusion, recommendation, and so on. And then bibliography, and using sources, Harvard style referencing, and so on. So you need to do that. Okay, so 4.2, basically you have to do your own research, okay, and collect data through interview or through survey or through questionnaire. So you need to, if you are doing by quantitative research, you need to prepare a survey, maybe 10, 15 questions, right? And you want to have an interview as well as questionnaire data, so you can have both mixed methods, all right? So you can have a mixed method study, but it will be using primary methods, primary data collecting method, okay? So you need to do that in your assignment task, okay? It says conduct market research. So you need to do that market research, okay? Maybe even you need to collect data, sending through emails or sending through on website, or writing people or asking people to fill this form in, collect the data, analyze it, interpret, and draw. But literature review, very important, okay? 4.3 says analyze secondary data. So what means by analyzing secondary data is once you collected your data, okay, once you collect it, you need to interpret, you need to use that data and tell us what you found out, all right? Because now it's been collected. Should analyze and present. So you need to present it. Analyze secondary data, okay, by research. You do it by research, okay, and tell us what you found out about the study. For example, somebody's done research on, customer demand for foods, on pizzas, for example, in particular, or how many people want to visit Blackpool illumination lights. So somebody's already done this assignment, or somebody's already done this data collection, and you analyze that data and tell us what you found out. Okay, and I think this is should be in line with your legal legal rules, regulations, privacy, transparency, all the legal requirements that we discussed yesterday, like legal privacy, people's data should be not sold, and the laws and regulations determining the transfer of information or data collection, how it can be, like how long it can stay with a particular person or with particular organization. Can they sell it? Can they sell our information, or they can't sell our information, people's customers' information, personal information, and all this data cannot be sold under the GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation EU, that we discussed. So you need to look at ethical issues, legal issues associated with marketing and digital marketing research that we discussed yesterday, all right? So they also should discuss privacy, transparency, awareness, legal liability. If you break this law, and there are fines, there are very hefty fines, people breaking these laws, like millions of dollars, all right? So you need to find out about these fines, okay? Okay, so what here, so you can read this, like, for example, privacy and transparency and legal issues. In a recent survey, KPMG, these are the consultants, 86% of people who responded to a particular research, they were concerned about their privacy data being breached, and 78% said, that they think that their data might be collected, whatever is collected might be breached or might not be full under the regulation. People who collected it might not use it for the purposes for which they wanted to collect, okay? So this is 86% of respondents have growing concern about data privacy, and 78% fear the amount of data being collected may not be correct or may not be right, okay, or how it's not going to be handled properly, or maybe sold, or maybe, I don't know, okay? So people are very concerned about this. So it's very important that you look at the legal transparency issues, legal issues, and ethical issues as far as the data protection is concerned. And there are heavy fines, okay? If you break these laws, if companies break these laws, then there are heavy fines, okay? Are we okay?
Yeah.
All right. So what we looked at, basically, basically there are three here. There are three assessment criteria that you have, and we looked at each one of them, but 4.1 in detail, because that's takes a lot of detail. You need to know why we need market research, and the process of research, and the type of research, and how to conduct. And the second, and the third is you need to be taking practical exercise. So you look at the task in your assignment, okay, and this is what you, I think, what you need to do: conducting research and analyzing research. All right. Any question?
No.
Okay. You okay with this?
Yeah.
All right. Well, in that case, digital marketing, thank you very much for joining, and we'll speak to you tomorrow. Do you have one tomorrow?
No.
Oh, you don't have a tomorrow? Okay. Okay. When would you have it next session?
For
Next one? Is it Monday next?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. In that case, yeah, I won't be here Monday next. Okay, maybe somebody else will take that session. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day.
For joining, and have a good good day. Whatever's left for you, enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.